Hi, I'm Mary Polchaninoff, and welcome to Shore Things. As you know, being a shoreline community, I love to keep us abreast of all the committees and all the activities happening this way. Today, I'm very excited to have Cindy Howard. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you so much.
Who is Vice President of the Westbrook Council of Beaches.
Correct.
So, I am so curious about some of the happenings. I know here we are late August, mid-August, but I'm sure your committee is busy all year long.
It is.
It is. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to your position there at Council of Beaches.
Certainly. Well, my husband and I purchased a home in Westbrook 8 years ago.
We are neighbors.
We're neighbors, and we love the shoreline.
Yeah.
And we're interested people. We like to know what's going on. And frankly, the way I got involved with Westbrook Council of Beaches is they called me and said, some people from your beach association recommended that you join our board. Are you interested in this? And of course I said yes, I'm very interested in it. And I was so thoroughly pleased to meet all of the representatives of the 17 beach associations. I had no idea when we purchased a home here that there were 17 beaches in Westbrook.
That's just in Westbrook?
Yes.
So the Council of Beaches deals with all those different 17 beaches.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So the Council of Beaches was incorporated in 1972, June 28th of 1972, as a 503c4 organization. And it's run by officers and one delegate member from every one of those 17 beach associations. And as I said, I'm impressed when I meet these people because they're people who are volunteering their time to benefit our community.
So you actually got, they knocked on your door, they called you up and said, we want you.
Yes, you know, I think when you ask a question at your own beach association meeting, that might prompt some idea, who knows, but.
And how does the council work then?
Well, as I said, there are officers.
Yeah.
Pat Marcarelli has been the president for the last few years. He does an extraordinary job.
He does.
I mean, there's a lot of hands-on things that go on behind the scenes that he does, and I'm very grateful for that. So he's a strong leader. And then there's Pauline Peterson, who is our secretary, and Steve Smith, who is our treasurer. You know
yes,
Steve, of course. He lives in our neighborhood as well. And then I'm vice president this year.
Yeah.
But there is a committee chair for all of the various committees that the Council of Beaches has.
And just what type of committees would, like I'm wondering, the scope,
Sure.
some of the committees you have going on?
Sure, well I jotted them down because as you know, I'm fairly new to the Council of Beaches, so they're fascinating. They're the Harbor Committee, and Andy Calderoni reports on that to our group. And then there's the Police Advisory and Traffic Boards Committee, and Eric Peterson reports on that. And then there's Alleviating Hunger. Tony Koza, who's a member of our beach association, and also on the Board of Finance for the town of Westbrook. He reports on that. Yeah. And Tony also talks about the Westbrook Economic Association, the WEIA. Interestingly enough, a merchants association has developed this past year in Westbrook, and so that was started by a young woman who came and spoke to our group, who owns a business in Westbrook. And it's just so the businesses in our area can get out there, be active, offer things. They're going to have activities for Westbrook residents. And so I'm impressed with that Westbrook Business Association.
So the connection with the beach committee or the beach council is just that they report to the members?
Well, they came and provided a report. Right, they don't normally report to us, but they gave a presentation to say who they are. I know they're raising funds for their group as well, and they're planning activities, and I can't tell you about any up and coming, but there's someone that you can contact for that, I'm sure, if you call our town. And then we have the Coastal Resiliency Committee. That's such a very important committee too. Ron Botello works with that. He's passionate about making sure that we're getting the correct information. The town has hired a consultant to look at all of our beaches. There was actually just a field trip recently, August 19th. They took a bus trip to view all of the beach areas to see what the needs are and talk with people.
And well, I will have more on that.
Yes.
I'll have the
consultants
people.
info.
Yep.
That would be good.
Yeah.
So they had a pop-up event to get those thoughts. You can tell us about that because I wasn't able to be there. And let's see, they also have people who are involved. For example, there's Westbrook Citizens, and Jack Zamory gave us a report about that. And they're not a political organization. They are there to look at the issues and to discuss what is right for Westbrook, Connecticut. There's a lot of hot topic issues going on right now.
It sounds as though there are.
Yes.
So how do you interact then with the town governance? Does somebody go to the town meetings and that's where the voice is heard?
So yes, there are people that attend the town meetings, and they work closely. I mean, the mission of the Council of Beaches was to gather our group to listen to the beach associations, to work with their members, to work with the town, and advocate for our members throughout our communities. So they watch local issues very carefully.
They do. They do. And they must have then that voice in the town governance as far as to report back on what all their members say.
Well, for example,
on those hot topics.
Our first selectman, John Hall, came to our last meeting, and he reported on the event when all of the debris came down the Connecticut River.
That was horrible.
It was. And the three towns that affected mostly were Madison and Westbrook and Clinton. And I mean, other towns did get some debris, but those three towns got the most. And he immediately called someone in the town sprung into action. They hired contractors to work removing this debris, which took 3 days. There was quite a substantial amount. And then also now the town has to pay for disposing of the debris. So the town worked closely. Everyone was calling and discussing what should be done, but I was so pleased to hear that they were Johnny on the spot.
They really work closely.
Yes, attentive to that issue.
Town.
I mean, that's an issue.
Right, and when you say we have 17 beaches, you're right. In Westbrook, that's a lot. That's many members that they have a voice and say in what's going on in the town as well.
Yes.
And I noticed on your website, because I did check out the website, there are the committee notes there.
Yes.
And some of those. What are the other hot topics? I mean, that was pretty big. That was
I really encourage people to get onto that website, the Westbrook Council of Beaches website, because all of the minutes are archived there by date, and you can go back and see the discussions that were held. Now, obviously, one of the discussions going around in town is the cannabis coming to be for sale in our town. And there's people that are for that, there's people that are against that. Everyone wants to voice their opinion. Right. The zoning board has to follow the laws of the state of Connecticut. So, they hear people, but yet they still need to follow the laws. So those are some of the discussions that are going on right now as to what will be opening, when and where, and will there be any restrictions? So
the Council of Beaches' role in a discussion like that is really to hear the members' voices, to do a rally call to...
Yes, they might say to the Council of Beach members, there's a zoning meeting on such and such a date. If you're interested in this topic, you could attend that meeting. And so they provide information. They're really a good source. And I would also encourage anyone to reach out to one of the officers if they have specific questions about the Council of Beaches, because I'm sure they'd all be comfortable speaking with any of our residents.
Is anybody, any member or even member of the town welcome to these meetings, to your meetings?
Yes, yes. Yeah. Any member of the town can come to the meeting.
Come to the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. And they could, I don't know if they can have a say or not.
Well, again, I can't answer that for sure.
Okay.
Because I'm fairly new.
Right.
But I'm sure that, this is a neighborly place. That's, my primary residence is in another town. And when we come to Westbrook, we see people that are really, they're out to help one another.
Yeah.
It's not a competitive place.
It's a
very special town, and it's that shoreline feel. And we're privileged to live here.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
So it's not the kind of thing where anyone would be shut out if they had a question or concern. I would encourage them to call our town people or our president of our Council of Beaches. Pat's going to love that I will say that.
That's okay. Pat's willing to talk. That's
he's
good.
Excellent.
He is.
Yes,
he's
really
a very good communicator.
He is.
How is the association funded? How do they get money?
Each beach association pays dues, and the Council of Beaches does certain things with those dues. One of the things they do is they give out an annual scholarship to a high school senior at Westbrook High School every year. And 2 meetings ago, the recipient this year came and spoke at our meeting, and he was just a delight. You know, he came up to every member there, shook their hand, thanked them for the scholarship, looked them in the eye, and he has high aspirations of things he wants to do in his life. So that scholarship will help him somewhat, and we're very pleased to give that out every year. They also do things like there's an alleviating hunger committee, and they have events such as fill a boat, or it used to be fill a cruiser, and people would come and donate food or funds, money, and those funds are used to help the needy in town.
Oh, that's wonderful. We're going to pick up on that after we come back.
Okay.
We'll be right back after this public service announcement. Stay tuned.
When a delayed flight caused her to miss her connection, a Wilton woman tried to rebook by doing an internet search for her airline's loyalty program. She landed on a website that looked like the real deal. It even had the airline's logo. But when she called the number listed, she says they answered as American Airlines and told her she'd have to pay $3,700 to rebook 4 tickets. When she got home, she saw a $900 charge for the tickets and a second charge for almost $2,800 to a company she'd never heard of before. When she called the number, it was no longer in service. If you need to contact an airline, refer to the number listed on official correspondence you've received from the airline, such as an emailed receipt. Avoid doing an internet search for customer support. Scammers are great at creating fake websites that look like the real deal. So double check the URL in the website address bar to make sure you are on the airline's official website. You can report a scam at bbb.org/scam tracker.
Hi, welcome back to Sure Things. Today's topic is the Westbrook Beach Council of Beaches, and I have Cindy Howard, who's Vice President of our Council of Beaches. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So before the break, we were talking about funding, and you mentioned that each beach contributes
A certain amount for dues.
a certain amount for dues, and we were talking about what some of the monies go for.
Well, as I said, they make a donation to the shelters for food and other things, toiletries and items such as that.
Yeah.
And annually they have the donations. I'm trying to recall other things that they do besides the scholarships and the donations to help our town residents. And if Pat were here, he'd be able to rattle those off right away,
Well, that's
I'm
good, but
sure.
you mentioned the stuff a boat,
Yes.
which is like our stuff a cruiser.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they had a blessing of the fleet this year. So there was a pastor that came and said a blessing, all of the boats lined up, and that was kind of a nice thing.
know that, yeah.
You know, in today's crazy world, it's kind of nice to take a few moments, no matter what faith you have, or even if you don't have a faith.
Right.
It's nice to take a few moments just to center oneself, to give thanks, and to appreciate what we have. And so I think that blessing of the fleet was really
A nice event.
beautiful
A
event
really
to have.
nice
Yes.
event.
And another thing is the town just hired a new police officer, which will be great, who will be working the later shift. I think it's 7 to 2 or 3 in the morning. So there will be police officers on duty all around the clock, and
Which is nice for the beach community to know as well.
yes,
Yeah,
it
'cause
certainly
that's such
is.
17 beaches, that's quite a...
Yes.
Is that, so let me ask you, this is probably an obvious question, maybe you can tell me what you think about it. There, we have 17 beaches, so that's it, right?
Yes.
You can't have any more beaches, there's no more, that's what we have.
Well, I don't think they're making any
Do
more
they?
beaches.
No, they don't. I didn't know if they actually end up dividing any, I just wondered about
Yes,
that.
well,
But the 17.
it is interesting that you asked that question, because when I looked at the names of the 17 beaches, there were a couple of them that were very, very similar. So, for example, we belong to Island View Beach. Everyone thinks it's Grove Beach Terrace.
Right.
But there's
they're
the
so
Grove
close.
Beach Improvement Association, the Grove Beach Point Association, and the Grove Beach Terrace Association as well. So in my mind, I don't know the history of all of them, but they must have split off.
They must have split off, so that
Certain
answers
times,
that
right?
question.
Yeah.
And they all have their own charters or policies?
Oh,
written?
yes. So every beach association would have their own bylaws on their own website. They should be posted. I know
Right.
ours are at Island View Beach.
Right.
There's certain rules that we have. you know.
And they all have, yeah, I just wondered if there must be communication between them too. I'm sure if an issue comes up.
Yeah, again,
have this
we're not
group.
dealing with New York City, we're dealing with a small community,
Right.
so we talk, I'm sure,
Right.
you know, people talk throughout the beach associations, and then this Westbrook Council of Beaches is the one area where all of them gather, so the representatives can go back to their own beach associations and tell them what's going on and raise issues, and then issues from their association come to the Council of Beaches.
Wow. So it sounds like the hot topic this season was the storm. And going along with that, was there any testing done?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that
Yep.
question, because people are saying, is the water safe?
Yes.
But John Hall assured us that testing was done,
Okay.
and all of the testing numbers came back below what are safe limits, so it's okay to go into the water, and
Yep, and all that's safe, yeah.
perfectly safe, yes. So
I wonder how often, I don't know if you know this answer either, I wonder how often they actually do test it.
can't answer that
No,
as
I
well,
just
but
wonder,
I'd
yeah.
like to know myself, so
Yeah.
I think we'll find out, and I'll
We'll
pass
follow
that
up.
along
okay,
to you.
and then I can send a follow-up if
Yes.
I remember. That would be good.
Good, good.
You mentioned earlier the Resiliency Committee, and I mentioned that we will be having people on to talk about that.
Good.
But in general, do you know what their overview is?
Well, they want to
Yeah.
find out what the real issues are.
Yes.
So, for example, in our own beach association, when it rains very hard and it's high tide, there are certain streets that flood.
They flood. They
What can be done about that? I don't know. And I think the town has tried doing certain things, but I'm assuming, because when I moved to this area, I actually called someone from the state, and this gentleman told me that the Old Saybrook, Westbrook, and Clinton have been talking to the state as far as what can
to
be
do.
done, what kind of state assistance we can get. I don't know where that is and
So that
what's
might be
happening,
something that
but it's
this
something,
committee-
right,
right.
that can be a voice to go to the state and say, we could use some assistance here. I don't know. Again, I'm not a scientist and I'm not a biologist.
No, which is why they're
so-
getting, but that's why they're getting the consultants in,
Yes.
which is going to be helpful. And I did go to the pop-up event Saturday.
Good, tell us
Yeah,
about
they
that.
had it at the town beach, at Westbrook Town Beach, and had members of the committee there, and they had big maps of the beaches, and you had an opportunity to give your feedback on concerns, issues you perceive in the area, whatever. And even if they were already noted, you know, the message was, please do it again so that we know this is really a hot topic. Whether it was the flooding, which is,
Yeah.
you know, what I mentioned,
Yeah.
or anything else. But it was really good because you felt like you had input. They were going to take this very seriously. And that's only one event of several that they're doing, which is going to be interesting to hear their feedback on that. I think they have one more pop-up, and then they're actually going to do workshops, which will be fascinating for people to come out and see how are these topics really being addressed
Exactly.
by the committee and by the other members.
And now's the time. This is your opportunity, folks. If you
Yeah.
have thoughts and ideas on what could be done, or if you have concerns, this is your opportunity to speak about it. And so don't just sit back on your couch and say
Yeah.
someone else will take care of it. You know, we all need to band together. Climate concerns are real.
They are.
And we living by the shoreline absolutely need to take this seriously. So it's our opportunity to stand up and be heard.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. And you're right. With the climate changes, even we notice it on our own beach. We can see different changes or shifting of the sands or whatever is happening. So I am glad that there's more of a global approach. I remember I went to a council meeting, and this was a while ago, a number of years ago, when this just first came up, and everyone was very curious about what that could even mean. What is really the issue? And now, as it seems to be gaining steam, you can see that there really are valid concerns out there in the community.
There
things
are.
that
There's
Yeah.
flooding, there's seaweed mitigation.
Yeah.
I know that Westbrook has a certificate from the state for a 2-year permission to clean up seaweed in our area. So these are just things that
Oh.
have to be done when you live near the shoreline.
would they be doing that then? They're actually going to be?
That's what I've heard,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So that's interesting to know that that's a topic coming up besides the
yes.
resiliency.
Yes.
You mentioned traffic and things like that. So on the
Yes.
committee, do they talk about that type of
Yes,
thing?
yes, if there's
in
an
our
issue. Now, sometimes there is a situation where a resident has a concern about traffic in a particular area.
Yeah.
And that would be we did have a person bring this issue up to the council, and the council can bring it to the police department and tell them this is what's going on in this area, this is how our residents are feeling about it. It's, that the lady could have gone directly to the police force as well, but this council is hearing what's going on and what the issues are, so they're happy to step up and be a voice.
Yeah, I think that's really important too.
It is.
For people to know, because if they're at all intimidated by going to the town, it's nice to know that they can come to the committee.
An intermediary,
yeah,
yes.
intermediate, and really get that knowledge out.
Yes.
So looking ahead to, besides the Resiliency Committee, which I know is huge, are there other main or long-term plans or goals for the Council of Beaches?
Well, it's not a stagnant thing. It's
Yeah.
rotating every year, new issues come up. And so, yes, of course, there are goals. And again, I'm going to refer our residents to go back and look at and see what's been being discussed and where we want to go in the future.
That's on the website?
Yes.
So you're saying there are the
The archived minutes are all
Archived
there,
minutes, okay.
and it tells about our organization, and it's really a great group of people. So.
Yeah, and who to contact would be on there
Yes,
too.
yes.
On that, because I did look at it and I did see the archives. I thought there were some videos on there too, but I didn't click on the video.
There was a video, I'm not sure if it's still there, but there was a video that someone had come from the state to give us a presentation, and it was posted on there. But I don't know if it's still there.
Yeah. And your office of house, so you're vice president?
Yes.
And so how long is your term for?
2 years.
Like 2-year terms? And then,
Voted
So you
again.
certainly welcomed that call. You got right in there. And
I did. I have a business background. I
Yeah.
was in insurance and first when I got right out of college, and then went into the education field, and I earned my master's in education, and I worked at a school for special needs children, and then I've been working with a nonprofit, an educational nonprofit, for the last 17 years that provides scholarships to children, and so I'm active in my community. I also held positions at our West Hartford Community Television Board, WHCTV, and I was president of that board, and also did a show like you're doing now for several years.
That's great.
I also wrote
Yeah.
a newspaper column for 14 years, and so I've had a wide variety of great community experiences, and I'm happy to share any talents I have here, humbly, of course. And
no, obviously they were very lucky to get you to say yes and come on and do that,
Thank
because
you.
that's really been
I'm the lucky one.
an asset for them. And again, with our beach community, what happens over the winter then? Do you still have meetings?
No, they meet the first Monday of the month from May through October.
Okay.
And then it's quiet during the winter. On occasion, there might be a Zoom meeting here or there if something comes up. But it's primarily in-person meetings from May through October.
And then they're just quiet for a while.
Quiet, but
Yeah.
again, things are happening behind the scenes. I know I talked to Pat throughout the winter, last winter, so
I was wondering
he's
then
doing things.
if people notice, because there's also changes, when we watch our beach change in the winter as well, with
True.
the storms and what happens on the beach. So I'm sure that he also gets, the committee also gets emails during the
Yes,
winter
correct.
on what can be done.
And it's interesting to see over the last couple of years how we've gotten more snow in our areas.
I know.
When we first bought here, we really didn't get much snow on the beach, and now we need a shovel. So
Yeah, it's interesting to see the changes.
Isn't
Again,
it?
we talked about the changes and what needs to happen.
It is.
But it's good to know. So as far as, I know you had the Stuffa Cruiser. We don't have another Stuffa Cruiser for the rest of
not
this.
right anymore. There's
Right.
once a year we have that. Fill a boat this year.
Oh, yeah,
And
I know fill a
also
boat.
they have a candidates forum in October, but I don't think that that's happening this particular October. I think the person that's running is running unopposed, so I don't think that they're having the candidates forum this year. But that's also a nice opportunity for residents to come out and hear what the candidates
Right.
have to say. So the Council of Beaches does sponsor that too.
And I have gone to that, and you're right, that was very interesting because you could hear
Yes.
everyone's opinion and where they stood on the issues,
Yes.
which was really
It's a
important.
good thing.
Yeah. So
God
it's a
bless
great-
this country.
I know, no, it's a great resource to have
Yeah,
all
yeah.
this information.
Yes.
So you said it's the first Monday of every month.
Yes.
So
Correct.
you've
for our
had your,
meetings.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you just have an September and October one left.
Correct.
And there, okay.
But
good.
there'll be happenings, and if someone is interested, I think they need to speak up at their own beach association and say, I might be interested in joining someday, keep me in mind.
Or at least just come to one of your meetings one of
Absolutely.
our meetings to really hear what happens and,
Yes.
and speak. And I do find, as you know, in our committee, in our community in Island View, that when we get our report from the Council of Beaches. It is a call to action at times, or it can just alleviate a question you might have that you hadn't thought of asking. I know, again, just talking about that one committee and talking about the issues, the big issues like flooding, that's going to put a lot of people's mind at ease that there's action being taken.
Yes.
Because that could be a long-term solution.
Yes.
But people have to get going on it. And,
yes,
yeah, get started on it.
And again, we're not the experts. We need these consultants,
Right.
and we need the town to help us
Right.
step up and say, what can be done? I mean, I think it's a work in progress, too. I think there's not one entity that has all the answers. We just have to work collectively
Yeah.
to figure out these answers to these problems.
Yeah, and it's a great resource for the town, too.
Yeah.
To have everyone together.
So I'm not sure when this show airs, but September 13th, they're having another event where people can come out and share their ideas and voice their opinions
Another
about
pop-up?
reducing flooding.
Yes,
So,
great.
and increasing resilience. So I hope people do come out for
Yeah,
that.
and I'm sure that'll be on the website as well.
Yes,
So they
yes.
can check on that. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
I know it's
great.
minutes.
Well, I really appreciate your coming in today to talk about all this.
It's been my pleasure. You do a fantastic show.
Oh,
I
no,
enjoy
thank
watching
you
it.
so
and
much.
I hope all of our residents do. I'm sure that all of our residents do. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for tuning in today. Remember, please send any comments, questions, or suggestions you might have for the show Sure Things to surethingsct.org. We'd love to hear from you. Till next time, take care.